Hello, this is Tarregor. This video is a stream on twitch.tv, so it's going to look like a Twitch stream. Welcome to my vision of World of Warcraft Classic Plus. The design direction of my vision of Classic Plus is substantially different from that of retail WoW, Circle Shadowlands, and the private servers Vanilla Plus and Turtle WoW. This is partially because this aims to fix Vanilla WoW's many problems first, flesh out and polish what is already there second, and add new content third. This is part of a playlist of videos. Check the studio's description for a link to the playlist. The document displays my vision of World of Warcraft Classic Plus, and the document's version number is version 1.5.17. All versions of the document are based upon patch 1.12.2 of World of Warcraft, the one before the Burning Crusade pre-patch. If you just want to know about the general design direction of my vision of Classic Plus before you otherwise look into this, then watch the introduction video in this playlist or review the document yourself and look at the list of major features. The link to the document is on my channel's About page. That, and I do not have a team of people, or however, working with me to make an actual private server out of this. This is all pure design thus far, and it ain't done yet. Now, before getting to this, you'll want to know what profession cooldowns and what profession level restriction variables are. Most examples of profession cooldowns for vanilla are engineering bombs. This is what the glossary says about profession cooldowns and profession level restriction variables. Profession cooldowns, sometimes referred to as profession buffs, referred to in this document as profession buffs, are specific combat altering bonuses and short abilities that are not necessarily tied to equipment that primary professions grant the player in order to make engineering not be the end-all be-all best profession in the entire game by leaps and bounds. Such buffs include the profession granting a permanent bonus to a stat, or an activated ability of some sort, or the ability to use an item or enchant that requires having the profession at a specific level or higher, and possibly with a specific profession specialization in order to be allowed to make use of it in the first place. Of course, you lose all of your profession buffs / cooldowns if you drop the profession. A profession level restriction variable is the character level that best corresponds to the specified profession level, concerning how powerful the items are that you are allowed to craft at a given profession level. For example, a character level of 8 best corresponds to a profession level of 65, and a character level of 254 best corresponds to a profession level of 295. I should think of a better name for this term, but I haven't thought of one yet. It is also worth mentioning that almost every damage and crowd controlling area of effect spell, item, and buff that is available to players was nerfed to have a hard target cap, a la Thunderclap, Whirlwind, and War Stomp of 6 targets per spellcast or tick as part of getting rid of melee cleave and spell cleave mitigated for good. However, I have yet to make the semantics of this entire design document reflect this, though the fact that this change is made is definitely in the document and has been for quite some time. That makes Leatherworking. Like I know, first, what I want to do as opposed to how to do it comes first. With Leatherworking, I generally want to flesh out the game. I want to make Leatherworking be as non-financially good as engineering is for raiding. I want to make some non-valuable reagents become valuable. I want to cut down on profession alts to improve the economy. I want to increase the value of uncured hides, and by extension, non-rugged cured hides, causing them to not usually be vendor trash, and I want to do things related to other sections. Do note that some cooking recipes now require regular deep rock salt. Not refined deep rock salt, but regular deep rock salt. So that stuff will not always be vendor trash. So that stuff generally is not going to be vendor trash. On a related note, some cooking recipes will require regular salt. Not the deep rock variety. Anyway, moving on. Now the actual changes made to Leatherworking. Before the actual products, the things that let you make the products. The recipes. Oh, I forgot to put my stream manager up this whole time. Let me go do that real quick. Turn off display capture first. It's there. It's there on the other monitor. I just closed it by accident. Okay, I remember to put my stream manager up. So anyway, first up, chromatic gauntlets will require twice as many brilliant chromatic scales to craft. This is to make brilliant chromatic scales not be vendor trash. Chromatic cloak will no longer require any red or black dragon scales to craft, but it will require thrice as many brilliant chromatic scales to craft. This is to make brilliant chromatic scales not be vendor trash. Stormshroud gloves will no longer be obtained from Princess Tempestria or the Wind Reaver. Instead, it will be a world drop. Hold on, I remember this something. Oh, do note also that I've yet to that most of these games items are pending re-itemization, so Chromatic Cloak is actually going to be good once I get around to re-itemizing it. All the groundwork is laid out for re-itemizing most of the game's items, basically. Anyway, moving on. An Onyxia Scale Breastplate will be added to the game, a scrapped item from the Vanilla WoW Beta. This will be a crafted item level 63, character level 58, male chest armor. The pattern, which is found on pickup, can be obtained from your Chandrilar and a neutral higher reputation after giving him a scale of Onyxia, and it serves as a resource dump for Onyxia scales, so that Onyxia scales don't just often get vendored after the early days of the server's lifespan. Patterned Warbear Harness will no longer be dropped by any NPC, you'll have to get it from the Timberwall Hold instead. Rainbow Vine Helm will require Black Lotus Oil instead of Bloodvine to craft, and so it'll get to be an item. And so I shall be able to afford to make it be an item level 63 character level 58 blue item instead of an item level 63 character level 58 epic item, seeing as it will not require 40-man raid mats to craft. Light layer armor kits will require 5 light layer and a linen thread to craft, making its cost be more consistent with other armor kits. By the way, coarse thread was renamed to linen thread. Medium armor kits will require 5 medium leather and a fine thread to craft, making its cost be more consistent. Woolen thread. Yeah, forgot here that I also renamed fine thread. I also renamed fine thread to woolen thread. By the way, tailors can craft threads now, but that's for a different video. So yes, you need a fine thread to craft medium armor kits as well as 5 medium leather. For heavy leather armor kits, you will require a silken thread instead of a woolen thread to craft it, instead of a fine thread to craft it, making a re-kit scaler, however, it's called better for armor kits. Thick leather armor kits will require a mage weave thread, formerly called a heavy silken thread, instead of a silken thread to craft. Making a re-kit scaler, however, be better for armor kits. Regular leather armor kits will, in addition to 5 regular leather, also require a runic thread to craft, making its cost more consistent with other armor kits, formerly called rune thread, now called runic thread. Wait a second. Yeah, runic thread, right. Regular leather pants will cost 2 less light leather, but also cost a cured light hide, and it'll be renamed to Mountaineer's pants because it is not made of rugged leather. Embossed leather vest will cost 2 less light leather, but also cost a cured light hide. Embossed leather boots will cost 4 less light leather, but also cost 2 cured light hides. Fine leather cloak will cost 2 less light leather, but also cost a cured light hide. Fine leather boots will cost 4 less light leather, but also cost 2 cured light hides. Hillman's leather vest will need cured medium hides instead of cured light hides to craft it. Blackwell tunic will need a cured medium hide instead of a cured light hide. Toughened leather armor will need cured medium hides instead of cured light hides. Dark leather cloak will cost 2 less medium leather, but also cost a cured medium hide. Dark leather pants will cost 2 less medium leather, but also cost a cured medium hide. Dark leather gloves will cost an extra cured medium hide, as will Hillman's shoulders. Hillman's leather gloves will cost 4 less medium leather, but also cost 2 cured medium hides. Dusky leather leggings will cost 2 less heavy leather, but also cost a cured heavy hide. Barbaric shoulders will cost 2 less heavy leather, but also cost an extra cured heavy hide. Guardian gloves will cost an extra 3 cured heavy hides to craft. Do you recall that you need guardian gloves to craft... what was it, true silver gauntlets? I forget exactly, but some other recipe for some other profession. Swift boots will cost 4 less heavy leather, but also cost 2 heavy hides. Nightscape pants will cost 8 less thick leather, but also cost 4 cured thick hides. Nightscape boots will cost 8 less thick leather, but also cost 4 cured thick hides. I'll come back to the title requirement changes later to see if I went overboard with them. Now, the changes to the actual products. Again, people reading this should take note of section 3.0.5 sweeping itemization changes in section number 3.0.6 itemization methodology. These section divisions will have a tremendous impact. Subsections will have a tremendous impact upon leatherworking patterns after I get around to it. Soul Shaker's cooldown shall be increased by this percentage in order to cut down on profession alts and increase the value of cured rugged hides. Its tooltip will reflect that the cooldown is higher at high, its tooltip will reflect that the cooldown is lower on high character levels. So this formula. At level 60, this comes out to 0%. That is, the cooldown is increased by 0% at level 60. However, say you're at a lower level, like, I don't know, 46. So, first you take 60, then you subtract 46, then you get 14, and then you multiply 60 minus character level, which is 14, by 8. And express that as a percentage. So if you're level 46, Soul Shaker's cooldown will be increased by 112%. Now say you're level 35. 60 minus 35 equals 25. That times 8 equals 200%. So if you're level 35, Soul Shaker will take 3 times longer than usual to cool down. However, at all character levels, Soul Shakers will require 3 deep rock salt per usage and produce 3 refined deep rock salt per usage due to Profession Golds being nerfed so hard. So you'll be able to produce 3 times. So at level 60, you'll be able to produce deep rock salt, refined deep rock salt, 3 times faster than you could in vanilla. On that character, that is. Dark Letter Gloves, in addition to its vanilla stats, will also add +5 to your pickpocketing and trap disarming skills. Yes, those are the secondary professions that only rogues can get now, instead of regular rogue skills. You're going to need these gloves to disarm NPC traps in 40-man raids. Red Dragon Scale Breastplate will be re-itemized to have fire resistance, stamina, int, and healing. Chromatic Gloves will have resist all on them instead of 4 resistances on them because thematics. Same with Chromatic Cloak. Instead of fire and shadow resistance, they'll have resist all. Red Whelp Gloves will be replaced with a 1 proc. The proc on Red Whelp Gloves will be replaced with a 1 proc per minute chance on hit to deal 22 to 27 fire damage, and it'll also grant you 4 fire resistance when you equip it passively. Black Whelp Boots, Cloak, Gloves, and Tunic will be re-itemized to include a small amount of fire resistance and grant accordingly to their other stats because thematics. Green Whelp Armor will grant less spirit, but it'll also grant a small amount of nature resistance because thematics. I'm also gonna change around that proc that the Green Whelp Armor gives you at some point. The Blood Tiger Harness set will be re-itemized to make it suck less when I get around to it. Dreamscale Breastplate, in addition to its vanilla stats, will have shadow resistance on it, and because the green dragons are corrupted, those green dragons, and like the rest of the loot for world bosses, it'll be item level 63 and character level 58. By the way, all loot in the game that is above item level 65 was nerfed to be of item level 65. There's absolutely nothing in this game anymore that is above item level 65. So Max gear is all item level 65. Molten Core gear, all item level 65. World Boss gear, however, item level 63. Also, all raids are nerfed to being tier 1 World Boss are massively nerfed, and there's a whole bunch of other shit that's not so relevant to Leatherworking. Anyway. This Dreamscale Breastplate obviously have less stats than it had in vanilla due to the item level reduction and the addition to shadow resistance. Everything with Bramblewood in its name will be renamed to Bramblevine. Leatherworkers are not carpenters. Light, medium, heavy, thick, and regular armor kits will offer 87.5% more armor than they had before. And medium ones will only work on item level 23 and higher items. Heavy armor kits will only work on item level 36 and higher items. Thick armor kits will only work on item level 43 and higher items. And rugged armor kits will only work on item level 54 and higher items. And the level requirements will not be displayed in the item's tooltips. I just decided they will be displayed in the tooltips. I just decided they will. Now to new or removed leatherworking patterns. Red Dragon Scale Breastplate will be part of a 4-piece set, when I get around to it, of mail items called Red Dragon Scale Armor. This set of armor includes the breastplate, a blue helm, a blue pair of pants, and an epic belt, all which are similarly itemized. All the items are only attainable via Dragon Scale Leatherworking, of course. And the helm pattern comes from Overlord Wernflack. The pattern for the pants comes from Ren Blackhand, and the pattern for the belt comes from Renixia. And all 4 patterns, like the breastplate pattern, are bind-on pickup patterns. The products will not be bind-on pickup. Any set bonus shall be as follows. 2-piece, I don't know yet. Probably it. 3-piece, however the fuck about Chilling, I don't know yet. 4-piece, I don't know, however, fire resistance, I don't know how much yet. These changes are made for the sake of causing less red dragon scales to rot in people's banks or get vendored. Another new set of items will be added to the game called Bronze Dragon Mail, which consists of 3 mail items crafted by Dragon Scale Leatherworkers, whose patterns drop rarely from the Elite, Black Dragon Skin into Burning Steeps, Black Rock Spire, and Blackwing Glare, but not will be exclusive to Blackwing Glare. This set of items will be itemized for enhanced enchantments in that it'll have both melee and caster stats. So hunters are not going to want these items. A leatherworking pattern will be added to the game called Red Whelp Armor. This will be a green chest armor that does various things, including range and fire resistance, and has a level requirement that is similar to or equal to that of Red Whelp gloves. It'll obviously include Red Whelp scales, among us regans. This change is made because Red Whelp scales can be used to craft 2 or more different things, while Red Whelp scales are only used to craft one thing. You know, I have laid out enough of the groundwork for the itemization methodology that I could just itemize this right now, but I don't feel like it. A leatherworking pattern called Dreamscale Cloak will be added to the game. This item will have 63, character level 50, and the cloak has nature and shadow resistance on it, among other things, and is itemized for tanks, and new recipe comes from Scenario Circle Exalted. A new item called Enchanted Leather Armor Kit. Hold on. Okay, that's better. A new item called Enchanted Leather Armor Kit is being added to the game. Will be added to the game, which is an armor kit that permanently grants plus 90 armor to a chest, glove, leg, or boot item and only works on item level 60 and higher items. It will require 5 enchanted leather and 3 runic thread to craft. Core armor kits, however, will be removed from the game because they gave too much avoidance. Yes, 3 plus 3 defense skill was too much, and because they do not want any enchants to require 40 man ready bats to craft. In case you didn't know how avoidance worked in vanilla, well, just take this example in vanilla. A warrior in vanilla could sit around in max gear. Best in slot defense, best in slot avoidance max gear. All plate items, by the way. And he could have 90% standing avoidance, including dodge chance, parry chance, chance to be missed, and block chance. And he could have that all of 299 to 300 block value, depending on his race, all without any buffs at all, with absolutely 0 buffs on him. No consumables, no player casted buffs, no world buffs, nothing. Not even battle shout. Not that that would matter. Yeah, and it's even higher with buffs. So yeah, evading like 95% of all attacks against you with buffs, it would be really fucking crazy, and that shit is not gonna happen in Classic Plus. You're gonna cap it like 60%. You're gonna hard cap it like 60 to 70% avoidance in this game. Hopefully closer to 60%. As a warrior, at least. Anyway, moving on. I'm keeping avoidance on a leash in this game, believe me. So yeah, no core armor kits anymore. The Burning Crusades Black Storm leggings will be craftable by elemental leatherworkers, but all have its icon replaced with a vanilla icon. The Burning Crusades Dragon Strike leggings will be craftable by Dragon Scale leatherworkers. The Burning Crusades Wildfeather leggings will be craftable by tribal leatherworkers, and the Burning Crusades Winter Boots will be craftable by leatherworkers in general. I did the elemental leatherworkers, okay good. New patterns will be added that make use of the stuff, the exotic regents that belt reinforcements are made of. See below. Excuse me. New patterns will be added that make use of. I'm gonna put this more concisely. Exotic leathers, not counting the ones that already have plenty of recipes to go towards making them not be vendor trash. Now then, leatherworker profession cooldowns. Engineers get to throw bombs and grenades and use engineering-only equipment that have on-use effects. So leatherworkers get to put belt reinforcements on their enchants that require a specified amount of leatherworking before you are allowed to gain the passive bonus from the enchant, and before you're allowed to use the on-use ability that the enchant gives you. Some only give passive stuff, some only give on-use stuff, some do both. So anyway, leatherworkers will gain access to new self-only belt enchants to make the belt be bind on pickup, a greater passive bonus, and also a spell that has no cost. That is while the enchanted item is equipped. Among the regents used to craft belt reinforcements will be non-standard leather such as incendiary sword scales, shadow panther hides, and undamaged hippogriff feathers, and the ones crafted by elemental leatherworkers will use elemental regents instead of non-standard leathers. Belt reinforcements will require routine maintenance to maintain, and so you must have an amount of leatherworking equal to the below numbers in parentheses to benefit from them, and the specialized and an amount of leatherworking of the specialized of the spec and an amount of leatherworking of the specified leatherworking specialization, that is dragon scale, tribal, or elemental, if applicable. All belt reinforcement specifications are as follows. All belt reinforcements that require less than 265 skill to learn, where applicable, have a reduced chance to affect enemies above the belt reinforcements profession level restriction variable plus 8. Such that they have a 3% lower chance to work per level higher the enemy is than the profession level restriction variable plus 8. All belt reinforcements, where applicable, will be instant cast unless otherwise stated. All belt reinforcements shall have a character level requirement equal to their profession level restriction variable minus 5 to a maximum of 50 in order to benefit from the ancient in the first place, unless they require a leatherworking specialization and a profession level restriction variable minus 5 would be equal to or lower than level 40, in which case I'll have no character level requirement. Design notes: select belt reinforcements that are usable unless your leatherworking skill are treated as level 60 belt reinforcements guaranteeing their effects. Examples include jet black feather, shadowcat hide, and standard throw scale. This is on purpose. Design note: 55 different belt reinforcements exist. Yes, 55 of them. 5-5. Now, all 55 of these enchantments do these things as follows. Light feather belt reinforcements grant you slow fall for 10 seconds when you use it on a 2-minute cooldown. This one is arbitrarily itemized. Then Kodo leather belt reinforcements. These require 75 skill. Like light feather ones. Thin Kodo leather skill belt reinforcements grant you a 1-second melee knockdown, dealing 36 to 50 damage on a 1-minute cooldown. Allies can access this pattern through the neutral auction house. Hold on. Alright, Slimy Murloc scale belt reinforcements will grant you 5% swim speed passively and require 100 skill. Shiny Fish scale belt reinforcements require 105 skill. They grant you underwater breathing passively. Black Whelp scale belt reinforcements require 105 skill. They, on use, ignite a target within 30 yards, dealing 145 fire damage over 15 seconds on a 3-minute cooldown. Oh, by the way, all proc and on-use effects in the entire game, they're not class-specific. These were nerfed to no longer scale bonus spell damage or healing because either A, I could have made them all scale bonus spell damage and healing, and therefore they would have been overpowered with both. Excuse me. Because either A, I could have balanced them around scaling of both spell damage slash healing, and it would have sucked if he didn't have both spell damage or healing, or B, I could have balanced them around not scaling to both, or I could have balanced them around you not having bonus spell damage or healing, and therefore they would have sucked. I already said that one. Or I could have bounced them around to you having bonus spell damage and healing, and therefore they would have sucked if he didn't have bonus spell damage or healing. Or C, I could just make him not scale bonus spell damage or healing. How the hell did I flood that so hard? Anyway, moving on. So yeah, all leatherworking belt reinforcements. So among all proc and on-use effects that are not class specific are all belt reinforcements. These will not scale bonus spell damage or healing. Not Black Whelp scale belt reinforcements. Not breezy belt. Excuse me. Not any belt reinforcements. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, you can get Horde characters can get Black Whelp scale belt reinforcements in your neutral auction house. Deviant scale belt reinforcements mutate you when you use it. See below. This includes perfect and regular scales, and allies can access this pattern through the neutral auction house designed arbitrarily itemized. When you use a deviant scale belt reinforcements, one of 5 things will happen. You'll have a 20% chance to become big and increase your strength and stand by 8 for 5 minutes. This sacks of elixir of giant growth and other size increasing effects. You'll have a 20% chance for it to make you look like a deviant latcher, which will not hinder your ability to perform actions, designed to make sure that they at least get a dance animation. You also have a 20% chance to take root, plot stunning you for 24 seconds, that is, stun resistance does not apply, and it will restore you 552 hit points negative to 35 mana over the duration. Hold on. You'll have a 20% chance to double your alcohol tolerance for 5 minutes. Alcohol tolerance is a new stat. You'll want to make sure that you don't die of having too much alcohol in your system when it wears off. You'll have a 20% chance to give you a 5-minute red debuff called Insecure, which causes you to cower and plot fear whenever anyone points at you or laughs at anything within a 100-yard radius. This plot fear freezes you in place a la Intimidating Shout, but your insecurity will end early if you get drunk. Was like plot stuns, plot fears ignore fear immunity. Now then, back up here. Then Naga Scale Belt Reinforcements grant you 20% swim speed for 15 seconds on a 1-minute cooldown. Require 115 skill. Deviant Scale Belt Reinforcements also require 115 skill. Red Wolf Scale Belt Reinforcements require 125 skill. When used, they allow you to breathe fire on up to 6 foes within a 10-yard cone of Cold's Whiff in front of you for 79 to 111 fire damage, which will disorient it for 2 to 3 seconds and turn off your auto attack. This is on a 7-minute cooldown. The Horde can access this power through the neutral auction house. Regular Kodo letter belt reinforcements. That's a new kind of letter. This requires 130 skill. This is a 1-second melee knockdown, dealing 75 to 105 damage on a 1-minute cooldown. That is when you use it. Allies can access this power to the neutral auction house. Long tail belt reinforcements require 140 skill to use. When used, they grant you 276 attack power for 3 seconds on a 3-minute cooldown. Raptor Hide Scale Belt Reinforcements. These require 170 skill, and when used, they rip the target's flesh, making it bleed for 260 damage over 30 seconds on a 3-minute cooldown. Thick Murloc Scale Belt Reinforcements require 180 skill to use. These grant you 10% swim speed passively. Green Whelp Scale Belt Reinforcements require 185 skill. When used, these let you cast a 5 to 6 second sleep on a 1.5 second cast timer with a 30-yard range on a 1.5 minute cooldown. This works only on beasts, critters, dragonkin, and humanoids, and is called Lesser Slumber. Regular Naga Scale Belt Reinforcements require 190 skill. When used, they grant you 40% swim speed for 15 seconds on a 1-minute cooldown. Heavy Color Letter Belt Reinforcements, that's a new kind of letter, require 200 skill to use. When used, it gives a 1-second melee knock. When used, it performs a 1-second melee knockdown, dealing 125 to 175 damage on a 1-minute cooldown. Shadowcat Hide Belt Reinforcements require 200 skill to use. When used, it grants you plus 80% stealth speed for 10 seconds. 2-minute cooldown. Does not break stealth. Ends early if you break stealth. This is arbitrarily itemized, by the way. This one is. Turtle Scale Belt Reinforcements grant you 9% crit reduction for 12 seconds when you use them. What is crit reduction? Crit reduction is the portion of defense skill that reduces your chance to receive a critical strike, just like it did in vanilla. If you recall, in vanilla, way back in 2006, when a tank was said to be defense capped, that means that tank had exactly 5.6% or more crit reduction, which meant that level 63 non-player characters were absolutely not capable of critically striking that tank unless its defense skill was lowered, or to use an ability that had bonus crit chance, of which I forget if any of those existed. Now then, moving on. Scorpion Scale. Oh, also that tank was a level 60. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, Turtle Scale Belt Reinforcements reduce the chance that you get critically stricken by 9% for 12 seconds. That is X minus... So for example, like, if an enemy has 15% crit chance, and you gain 9 crit reduction, that enemy will only have a 6% chance to crit you. So anyway, moving on. Scorpion Scale Belt Reinforcements require 225 Leatherworking skill to use and to benefit from. When used, these grant you 670 armor penetration for 30 seconds. Do note that raid bosses are not going to have much armor left to penetrate after all the armor reduction debuffs are applied to them. Excluding belt reinforcements. Not including, but excluding. So this armor penetration belt reinforcement is generally going to go to waste in raids, causing this to only be useful in PvP and solo play. Moving on. Thick Murloc Scale Belt Reinforcements. These require 225 skill to craft and use, and to benefit from. These grant you 15% swim speed passively. Thick Naga Scale Belt Reinforcements. These require 230 skill. When used, these grant you 60% swim speed for 15 seconds on a 1-minute cooldown. Thick Wolfhide Belt Reinforcements. These require 240 tribal leatherworking to use. When used, this causes you to rip the target's flesh, if it's a melee range of course, making it bleed for 380 damage over 30 seconds on a 3-minute cooldown. Born Dragon Scale Belt Reinforcements require 240 Dragon Scale Leatherworking to benefit from and to use. When used, it grants you 250 attack power, 129 bonus spell damage, and 287 healing for 20 seconds on a 2-minute cooldown. Fiery Belt Reinforcements, which are made of hearts of fire, and these require 240 elemental leatherworking to use. When used, it scorches a target within 30 yards for 212 to 225 fire damage on a 2-minute cooldown. Dripping Belt Reinforcements, which are made of globes of water, require 240 elemental leatherworking to use. These passively grant you underwater breathing, and when used, it allows you to erect a shield of water around yourself for 3 minutes that absorbs a combined total of 352 fire and frost damage before collapsing on a 3-minute cooldown. Design note, the underwater breathing is free of itemization costs. Dirty Belt Reinforcements are made of cores of earth and require 240 elemental leatherworking to benefit from and to craft and such and whatnot. These allow you to stomp the ground, dealing 134 to 161 damage to up to 6 enemies within a radius of 8 yards, and knocks them down for 1 second on a 4-minute cooldown. Breezy, that is Breath of Wind, Belt Reinforcements require 240 elemental leatherworking to craft and use and make and such. These passively grant you underwater breathing when you use it, it'll grant you 27% attack speed and 18% casting speed for 12 seconds on a 2-minute cooldown. Again, the underwater breathing is free. Pulsating, that is harder to wield, Belt Reinforcements require 240 elemental leatherworking to craft, make and use, etc. When used, it cures up to 2 debuffs among poisons, diseases, and bleeds of up to level 53 for the target within 30 yards on a 4-minute cooldown. Necrotic, that is Inger of Undeath, Belt Reinforcements require 240 elemental leatherworking to craft, make and use, etc. When equipped, these passively increase your lung capacity by 300%. And, when used, it allows you to curse a foe within 30 yards with Call to Grave, inflicting 628 shadow damage, cannot crit, after 1 minute on a 5-minute cooldown. Design note, the bonus lung capacity is free. Long, Elegant Feather Belt Reinforcements. These require 245 leatherworking skill to craft, make and use, etc. When used, these grant you slow fall for 15 seconds on a 1-minute cooldown. This one's arbitrarily itemized. Jet Black Feathers require 255 tribal leatherworking to make craft and uses, etc. These grant you plus 360 spirit for 10 seconds on a 2-minute cooldown. That is a lot of spirit. Undamaged Hippogriff Feathers. These require 255 leatherworking skill to craft, make and uses, etc. When used, Undamaged Hippogriff Feather Belt Reinforcements let you cast Chain Lightning all an enchantment spell, costing 0 mana with a 30-yard range and a 2.5-second cast time, dealing 494 to 593 nature damage on a 4-minute cooldown. This does not share a cooldown. With the shaman version of the spell. Incendosaur Scale Belt Reinforcements require 265 leatherworking skill to craft, make, use, etc. These let you cast Pyroblast, costing 0 mana with a 35-yard range and a 6-second cast, dealing 667 to 800 fire damage with an additional 264 fire damage dealt over 12 seconds. This is a 3-minute cooldown. This does not put the mage talent on cooldown. Does not put that mage talent on cooldown. Green Dragon Scale Belt Reinforcements require 265 Dragon Scale leatherworking, craft, make, use, etc. These let you cast a 5 to 6 second sleep with a 1.5 second cast time of a 30-yard range and a 1.5 minute cooldown. This works on beasts, critters, dragonkin, and humanoids, and it's called Lesser Slumber. If you recall, low-level belt reinforcements have a reduced chance to affect high-level enemies. The Green Dragon Scale belt reinforcement is otherwise the same as the Green Whelp Scale belt reinforcement. The Green Whelp Scale one has a reduced chance to affect high-level enemies, but the Green Dragon Scale version does not have a reduced chance to work on high-level enemies. Iron Feather Belt Reinforcements require 270 tribal leatherworking to craft, make, use, etc. When used, it grants you 24% spell crit for 12 seconds on a 2-minute cooldown. Blue Dragon Scale Belt Reinforcements require 270 Dragon Scale leatherworking to craft, make, use, etc. When used, it instantly burns 404 to 485 of the mana as arcane damage, not shadow damage, on the target within 30 yards on a 3-minute cooldown. This acts as a standard mana burn, like a spell mana burn, except it deals arcane damage instead of shadow damage. Bronze Dragon Scale Bronze Dragon Scale belt reinforcements require 275 Dragon Scale letter marine to craft make use, etc. It lets you cast slow, costing 0 mana for 30-yard range, reducing the foe's attack speed by 45%, and its movement and casting speed by 30% for 12 seconds on a 2-minute cooldown. Does not work on raid bosses or mobs. Hardened Murloc Scale belt reinforcements, that's a new scale. That's a new kind of scale. These passively grant you 15% swim speed and underwater breathing when you equip them. Design notes are arbitrarily itemized. Yeah, 275 leatherworking to craft and can use these are required. Warbear letter belt reinforcements require 280 tribal leatherworking to craft and can use. These give you an instant 3-second melee stun when you use them. Excuse me, these perform an instant 3-second melee stun when you use it on 1.5 minute cooldown. Heavy Scorpion Scale belt reinforcements grant you these require 280 leatherworking to craft, make, and use, etc. These grant you 1005 armor penetration for 30 seconds on a 2-minute cooldown when you use it. Dragon Turtle Scale belt reinforcements, that's a new reagent. These grant you 12% crit reduction for 12 seconds when you use it on 1-minute cooldown. Dragon Turtle Scale belt reinforcements require 285 skill to make, craft, and use, etc. Chimera letter belt reinforcements. Chimera letter belt reinforcements require 285 skill to craft, make, and use, etc. My microphone is on, right? Okay, good. Yeah, when you use Chimera letter belt reinforcements, allow you to breathe lightning on up to 6 foes within a 10-yard cone of cone of cold's width in front of you for 238 to 333 nature damage, days in for 5 seconds on a 7-minute cooldown. Devil Sword Letter requires 290 tribal leatherworking to craft, make, use, etc. When used, it allows you to roar to fear up to 6 foes within an 8-yard range for 4 seconds on a 7-minute cooldown. Hold on. That's better. Frost Saber letter belt reinforcements require 290 tribal leatherworking to craft, make, use, etc. These allow you to rip the target's flesh, making it bleed for 530 damage over 3 seconds on a 3-minute cooldown. Designed out this thing's Black Dragon Scale belt reinforcements do in fact have the correct numbers. Black Dragon Scale belt reinforcements require 290 Dragon Scale leatherworking to craft, make, use, etc. This allows you to, when used, it allows you to ignite a target within 30 yards, dealing 525 fire damage over 15 seconds on a 3-minute cooldown. Flaming belt reinforcements, the ones made of essences of fire, require 290 elemental leatherworking to craft, make, use, etc. These allow you, when used, it scorches the target within 30 yards for 296 to 256 fire damage on a 2-minute cooldown. Watery, that is essence of water, belt reinforcements, require 290 elemental leatherworking to craft, make, use, etc. When equipped, these passively grant you underwater breathing, and when used, this lets you erect a shield of water around yourself for 3 minutes and absorbs a combined total of 491 fire and frost damage before collapsing on a 3-minute cooldown. The underwater breathing is free. A vitamization cost of itself. Earthen belt reinforcements, the one made of essence of earth, require 290 elemental leatherworking to craft, make, and uses, etc. When used, it allows you to stomp the ground, dealing 187 to 224 damage at up to 6 enemies within a radius of 8 yards, and knocking them down. This will knock them down for 1 second on a 4-minute cooldown. That is the unease effect of the 4-minute cooldown. Windy belt reinforcements, these are made of essences of air. These require 290 elemental leatherworking to craft, make, use, etc. These passively grant you underwater breathing and can be used to grant you 36% attack speed and 24% casting speed for 12 seconds on a 2-minute cooldown. Do not note the underwater breathing is free. Living belt reinforcements are made of living essences. These require 290 elemental leatherworking to craft, make, use, etc. When used, it cures up to 2 debuffs among poisons, diseases, and bleeds from a target with no level cap within 30 yards on a 4-minute cooldown. Unliving belt reinforcements are made of essences of undeath. These require 290 elemental leatherworking to craft, make, use, etc. These passively grant you 200 luck. These passively grant you plus 200% luck capacity, and when used, it lets you curse the foe within 30 yards with the Call of the Grave, inflicting 876 shadow damage. Cannot crit. After 1 minute on a 5-minute cooldown, designed of the bonus luck capacity is free. Hardened Naga Scale belt reinforcements require 290 leatherworking to make craft, use, etc. These passively grant you underwater breathing, and when used, grant you 60% swim speed for 15 seconds on a 1-minute cooldown. These might actually be overpowered in World PvP, I'm not entirely sure. Light Ballistic Carapace plus chain belt reinforcements require 295 leatherworking skill to craft, make, and use. When used, it grants you plus 12% crit for 24 seconds on a 2-minute cooldown. Heavy solicited carapace plus chain belt reinforcements require 295 leatherworking skill to craft, make, use, etc. This grants you a 1-second instant melee knockdown. When used, it performs a 1-second instant melee knockdown, dealing 214 and 300 damage on a 1-minute cooldown. Red Dragon Scale belt reinforcements require 295 Dragon Scale leatherworking to craft, make, use, etc. When used, it breathes fire on up to 6 foes within a 10-yard cone of cold's width in front of you for 238 to 333 fire damage, disorienting them for 230 seconds and turning off your attack, just like the talent in the Burning Crusade. This is a 7-minute cooldown. By the way, that talent in the Burning Crusade is not existing in this Classic Plus. They get combustion instead. And finally, Brilliant Chromatic Scale belt reinforcements require 300 Dragon Scale leatherworking to craft, make, use, etc. This gives you 360 attack power, 180 spell damage, and 400 healing for 20 seconds on a 2-minute cooldown. Do note that there are no belt reinforcements for raid or... Do note that there are no belt reinforcements for exotic letters, scales, and feathers that are only found in 40-man raids, such as the Molten Core's core letter. This is because I want no enchant in the entire game to be locked behind 40-man raids, nor any consumables to be locked, nor do I want any consumables to be locked behind 40-man raids for that matter. Upper Blackrock Spire will be a 20-man raid in this game, as will Lower Blackrock Spire, and all the places that were previously endgame 5-man dungeons in Vanilla WoW will be 10-man raids in this game, on a related note. Except Outer Blackrock Depths. That'll still be a low 50s 5-man dungeon, but the rest of Blackrock Depths will be a 10-man raid. That Inner Blackrock Depths is the part behind the Shadowforge lock. Outer is the parts not behind the Shadowforge lock. And yeah, that's all I got for leatherworking changes. Thanks for watching. That was a lot.